Good morning from the Fairfield Hotel. Not sure if it's a resort. You know, sometimes when you are in the Caribbean as a hospitality person, you're really not sure when you come out of that zone what is considered a hotel and what's considered a resort. But nevertheless, here I am. It's morning time. We had quite a fabulous drive up last evening, and I tried to capture some some videos from the speedway. It was nighttime and it was the lights, it was like a light show. But of course, with my camera, it didn't capture much. Well, it captured some, but it was not very clear. So I guess I will have to engage the services of my super editor to see what can be put together to make it usable and viewable. So today, really quickly, I wanted to talk about what's going on with Mexico. What on earth is happening with Mexico? I am not sure if I mentioned it, I doubt I did, but Mexico instituted a rule that you could only arrive as a visitor with no more than 2 laptops and a phone or an iPad, not 2 of each. So in other words, they were limiting the devices that foreigners could take into the country. And I think their excuse was, people were taking the equipment in and selling them. No idea. And they are one of the top countries for digital nomad lifestyle. So those of you who understand, digital nomads work remotely. And in this age of technology, we use many tools. So it's not unusual for me to be working with 2 screens, to have 2 phones going, because I'm doing different things. I'm opening up different screens. I'm looking on the supplier side. I'm looking on the system side. I'm Googling something to get the correct information before I input it, etc. So it was kind of a weird thing. As a matter of fact, it was so strange that I got into quite a tizzy. And fortunately enough, I have good friends, good places, and good relationships everywhere I go. So we were able to leave one of the laptops at the resort we're staying. Didn't hurt that the general manager, being Jamaican, is also a very good friend of mine. And so she was able to keep it for me until I had somebody pick it up. And even though for me I had 3 phones, because hey, I have, 3 phones. I was like, oh my God. So here I am with 3 phones, 2 laptops, and I'm like, what on earth is going to happen? Good enough though. I think the fact that I started a conversation with the immigration officer in fluent Spanish and everybody was surprised. They always seem surprised when I start speaking Spanish. I don't know. Is it that I don't look like I should speak fluent Spanish? Well, whatever the case, nobody bothered me with my electronic devices. And very soon, maybe a month after we left Mexico, not even, there was a report that they had rolled back this decision because it was really affecting their tourism arrival numbers. Go figure, seriously? They should have thought about that. The average person traveling will have many devices for many reasons. Even children will have a phone and at least 1 iPad. So anyway, that was sorted. And we said, okay, good. Mexico has learned a lesson. But no, the powers that be decided right on the heels of Royal Caribbean announcing Perfect Day Mexico, which would be, I think, the Costa Maya cruise port. They have acquired it and they're working on it so that it would be transformed into the private island or the private experience for the Royal Caribbean guests when they dock. and they're spending multi-million of dollars to get that job done. So out of the clear blue, it would appear, here comes Mexico again with another brilliant idea that only they think was brilliant, obviously. We're now going to charge a $42 note, $42 per person tax on cruise passengers. And might I hasten to tell you that Mexico, hands down, receives the most cruise passengers in the entire Caribbean. I actually Googled to see how many ports they have because I refuse to believe that I know it all, and I was absolutely stunned to know that apart from Cozumel, Costa Maya, Acapulco, Progreso, and somewhere over on the west coast, I think it's somewhere in, oh come on. Anyway, can't remember. See? Can't even remember. I found more than a dozen ports. And so, let's do the math. If just 100 people arrived at each port, so let's say they have a dozen ports, which they probably have a dozen functional or a dozen that's used consistently. I can't say 100, I have to say 1,000, because the vessels that sail with less than 100 are few and far between. So if they had 1,000 people coming off at 10 ports, charging $42 per head, as a matter of fact, their change suggests that you don't have to come off, you just have to be on the manifest. So as long as you're on the ship that arrives in Mexican waters, voila, $42. Even if you are a baby on the breast, $42. Even if you do not come off the ship, $42. So the first supposition that started floating around was that this clearly is going to impact the persons who are trying to finish up the perfect day in time for 2027 opening. It certainly had cruise lines reconsidering their stops in Mexico. And it's a classic case in my mind of greedy dog losing his bone. So, even as a matter of fact, yesterday there was a bit of news that came out that persons who are in Cozumel, who of course you know Cozumel, or you might not know, we were there, nice little island. They predominantly live from tourism. The taxi drivers, the restaurateurs, everything. Cozumel is just this little island and tourism is the mainstay. They protested because they're like, seriously? When you do that and you prevent the ships from coming, what's that going to leave us to do in terms of revenue? So they were protesting in Cozumel, and the news came that the authorities decided to roll back the implementation of the $42 tax. Mark you, they did not say they are going to stop. They're just going to roll it back. So instead of it starting earlier, 2025, they're giving a 6 months grace to June. Not a big deal. And you know, with all that Mexico is doing to themselves and to others, I don't know if they are going to be on a rise, because there's so many up and coming destinations. And even though Mexico has the infrastructure to take a lot of the vessels, as a matter of fact, there's no other country in the Atlantic Caribbean basin area that can facilitate the number of ships that need to do calls and whatnot. But people will find a way. Companies will make a way. It's going to impact their bottom line, and if it's going to do that, they're going to find a way to do something else. So is this a case of self-sabotage? Is this a case of greedy dog, want all, lose all? Let's chime in below on the comments and let's see what on earth is happening with Mexico. Anyway, the pool beckons. Let's see, I'll show you the pool area. I'm always at a pool somewhere doing something. My camera is so lean. Yeah. I am here by the pool. Hopefully you can see it, because I can't see what I'm showing. But this is what is on my agenda for this morning. Need to get my mobility work outdone, and then I will continue with the rest of my day. So until we speak again, this is Sherry saying ciao for now.